friends, so sorry to be late today. Have good reason though. I was up at the mall trying to switch over my phone plan, and things just got a little bit out of control in the timing wise. They've really streamlined this process, let me tell you. But by the same token, it still takes a little bit of time. So I kind of couldn't be in two places at once. So there you are. My apologies for being late. But you're going to like what we're going to do tonight, and I'm going to show you. So this is the card I received in the mail from a friend, and I know I've done this layout in card class before, but I'm not sure that I've ever done it as a Mystery Card Monday. So this piece of cardstock measures 8 by 4 1/4, and it's from my friend Vicky. 8 by 4 1/4. And then there's some score lines, okay? And because of the way that it's scored, it just stands up on its own. And you can fold the sides in and still mail it in a regular envelope, which is great. So what I did, so that I didn't have excess to cut off, was I made mine a little bit taller. So my piece is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, which is like a half sheet of cardstock. So mine's a wee bit taller, okay? But I'm quite happy with the way it turned out, and that's the one I'm going to show you how to make tonight. So, and it'll still fold like this and fit in a regular envelope, and then you've got a panel on the back to write your message. So this is a, I don't know if it has a name. It's like an easel card kind of, but it just stands up on its own. Here, I'll just show you on trying to see if it'll stand, if I can hold this up to the camera. There we go, and it just stands up on its own, just great. Okay, so let's get started with this, okay? Not waste any more time. If you're here, please let me know. If you're watching the replay, drop me a message so I know you were here. And once again, I really apologize for being late. Was not part of the plan, but there you go. So I'm going to whip through and try to get 4 done before 7. So I've got an 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. What you're going to do on the long side is you're going to score it at 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 6, and 7 1/4. And I'll repeat those as I do each of the cards for scoring so that you'll know that. So along the 8 1/2 inch side, horizontal in your trimmer, you're going to score at 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 6, and 7 1/4. Alrighty. And that's going to give you equal panels and a good size panel in the middle. Alright. So you're going to need some patterned paper to stick on the sides to make this work out nicely and have some nice decoration. So you're going to need 2 pieces. I think what I did was I put on there 4 pieces measuring on the layout, 1 by 5 1/4. What I'm doing on this particular card, there's a lot of gold, so I wanted to break it up, or a lot of pattern, so I'm breaking it up. So 2 of my pieces are actually gold foil and 2 of my pieces are pattern paper, but they all measure 1 inch across by 5 1/4 inch long. And I'm going to fold this before I get too far along here, before I actually add. Because when I use my bone folder, I sometimes feel like it might damage the foil paper. So I'm folding these 2 sides in, okay, and then I'm going to fold the smaller panels back, the 2 outside panels back. And that gives it the stability to stand up. So this would be a lovely card to put on display. This is where you want to show people your really pretty stuff, right? The panel that goes on the front, in the center, in the large piece, measures 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. Did I make this too long? Yes, it should be 5 1/2, and I was using a piece from my stash, so it looks a little bit longer. So let me just get this at 5 1/2. That makes no difference to what you're working on. It was just me using a bigger piece than I needed. So let's move this out of the way. 3 1/4 by 5 1/4 means that your pattern piece for the center is going to fit beautifully with a little border around it. And then for the back, I'm also using 3 1/4 by 5 1/4, and that piece is going to make it onto the back panel nicely. So if you want to stamp like I did on my sample here, Santa Paws are coming to town, you want to do that before you glue it down. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to leave the whole area for writing in. So I'm sure inquiring minds want to know, I used to be with Bell and now I'm gone to Virgin Mobile for my phone because they have just a phenomenal data package on right now. Unlimited talk and text, Canada-wide, and 12 gigs of data for $40. It's normally $50, which is a good deal in and of itself, but for 8, yes, 50 for 8 gigs. It's up to 12 gigs for a 2 years period. Yeah, and that was me keeping my existing phone. Because, I don't know about you, but it takes me more than 2 years to kind of figure out my phone and all the things it can do and all the bells and whistles. As evidenced by me being there with the sales clerk and him saying, okay, you just need to open your Bell Mobility app so we can get your information. And I'm like, do what now? So, you know, you think you're savvy, but sometimes you're really not. You're just faking it, which is okay. So yeah, that'll be great. I'm really thrilled because with my new car that I got this year, I was able to get some, I have a Android Play system that allows me to get music and the GPS and all that stuff. So now I can, with data, I can do it. Okay, so I got some glue on the gold foil that I didn't want. So I'm going to try and get this off. And if not, we're going to fix that up after. All right, so I better get my pattern paper going in its rightful direction. That's better. Otherwise, we'll be looking at the card upside down. So I think this makes a great card. So thank you to Vicki for sharing it with me so that I could share it with you. And show you how to do it. So one thing I'm thinking about for starting in the new year is instead of Mystery Card Monday, I'm thinking I'd like to actually do a class. So it'd be a free class, right? And I'll post some things ahead of time, but instead of doing all of these layouts, I might change it up even for a short time and have something else instead of mystery. I've been doing Mystery Card Monday for like, what, a year and a half now, and sometimes it's just good to change things up. Thinking about that, I would love your comments on that. I feel like if I can show you my hands working on something more regularly, that may have a bigger draw for some people. It may be the thing that gets them to join in and participate a little bit more. So we'll see. Let me know what you think about the idea in the comments. The mystery part's kind of fun. I mean, I do like it. But Monday nights are also a bit of a time crunch for me regularly. So got to juggle various different parts of my life and finding ways. I don't think this bow works on here. Finding ways for this to work out. This card is gorgeous, like really. Look at that. Just beautiful. And then my spot to write the greeting on the back. I was going to put ribbon on it, but I think that might be a little overkill. So what's the next one I was going to do? So I'm using up items from the mini catalog, the July to December mini catalog. And so you're going to see a lot of those papers because sadly they are retiring. that's what happens, right? We got to have some new stuff come into our stash. You like to see project in progress? I think that's going to also be a common theme, Brenda, that people are just going to really like that idea. So thank you. I really, really, really appreciate the feedback. Okay, so I'm on to my second card. So my 8.5 wide by 5.5 long. I'm going to put the 8.5 edge in my paper trimmer, or simply scored. I'm actually using the trimmer on the paper trimmer. And I'm going to score the first spot at 1.25, and then move it over and score at 2.5. And then I'm going to move it over further and score at 6. And then finally at 7.25. That gives you 1.25 inch panels, 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this large gap of 3.5 in the center. All right, so back to some scoring. Yeah, I think it's always good to reevaluate what you're doing, come up with new ideas, try something different. You know, I like that idea. So please bring your friends, invite your friends to come along and watch, check this out. The more, the merrier. Whoops. So my piece of white that's going on the back of this panel, the large panel, is 3.25 by 5.25. You could glue it down and then stamp onto it if you wanted to. Just find that it works nicely if you stamp first, especially if it's where your glue is underneath. But definitely you can. I use liquid glue and I go around the edge, so if I stamp in the middle, I'm not likely to catch it on anything. There's that. And then the front has this Heartwarming Hugs paper. It was in our catalog last year and actually carried over. Traditional old olive and mossy meadow with red, so your red and greens. Definitely traditional colors, although lots of fun little patterns. I like when they're patterns that are sort of geometric too, because it doesn't scream Christmas, right? Whereas some, like this, I mean, that's Christmas, right? There's no getting around these guys. So what I've done on this card is I've done 4 panels that are 1 by 5.25, but I have, I'm trying to get this together in my hands, 2 in this pattern and 2 in this pattern, instead of them being exactly the same. It's kind of nice to switch them up a little bit. Well, that's what this one's going to look like. And I've got a nice decorative piece to put in the center and the stamp a greeting. Now, if you have still some Christmas cards to make, I have a solution for you. I am doing my monthly Kit to Go class. You pick it up here in Guelph, or I can mail it to you. And heavens knows how the mail's going to go, but and it's 8 cards for $25. If you place a minimum $40 order with me before tax and shipping, you can get this class for $10 instead of $25. Shipping, you have to pay for it. But, oh, sugar. I think I put the wrong piece down because I was talking. Yes, I did. Okay, that's fine. We'll fix it up. So yeah, $25 for 8 cards, 2 of 4 designs. You need to provide the different greetings and your inks for them, but everything else would be die cut, punched, and cut and ready to assemble. Look what I did here. These are the backs of each other, so I'm going to have to cut another piece where the stripes go this way because my piece goes this way. That's okay. I can fix that up afterwards. So if you're wanting to do some cards and you're not quite there yet, but you need to finish up your Christmas cards, so let me know. That class, you need to sign up soon so I can get it in the mail for you. But if you sign up by Friday this week, that's the 3rd, or even by the 4th, then you can pick it up next week. That's pretty good, right? And I would love to show you the cards. I posted them in the link here, but they're across the room, so I can't go grab them easily enough. So this time I've got a greeting, Joyful Season. This is from this is from Encircled in Warmth is the name of the stamp set. It comes with 5 stamps, lovely Christmas greetings, and it coordinates with the Encircled in Beauty dies. They're in the annual catalog. And so that's what I'm doing here, is I'm mixing these two together. So I'm going to use on this stamp my Stampin' Right markers. So those are not the blends, but these are our original ones. Oh, hey, you're not late, Debbie. I'm late. I didn't get started until, pardon me, about 6:15 or so. So no, not late at all. So I'm using my Stampin' Right markers to add some color directly to the stamp. Now, why would I want to do this? It's because I want to have more than one color on the stamp. And the chances of me being able to line it up to do one in one color and then one in another color, not so good. I'm good, but I'm not that good. So I'm going to show it to you before I apply it to the paper. So what I've done is I've put green on the outside and red on the inside. And I'm going to breathe on it to sort of re-moisten it. And then I'm going to stick it down on my circle. So I die cut those circles first. Well, it didn't turn out too badly. I got it pretty well centered. And that's how it turns out. It's a little bit less crisp, if you know what I mean, but it gives you a chance to put 2 colors on the same stamp. So now if you wanted to use this for another circle, you'd need to reapply the Stampin' Right markers and breathe on it or puff on it to help it re-moisten. But it's definitely doable. This stamp is kind of lends itself well to this technique of direct to stamp because the words and the lines are a little bit further apart. They're not too close together that you're going to run them. All right, so I've got that stamped on there, and I'm going to put it into the center of this beautiful encircled. It's not a wreath though. It's called Encircled in Beauty die. To me, they look like doilies. I don't know about you, but they kind of look like doilies to me. And I didn't have anything in my stash quite like that, so when I saw those in the catalog, I thought, these are kind of nice for me. I like these. And it's got some nice stitching in it. And then our layering circles dies fit right in the middle. Now I'm going to try to line this up. Check that out. Isn't that nice? Hi, Paulette. I could use the Stamparatus. I could. I'm not good with the Stamparatus. I gotta tell you, I use it sporadically, and I should use it more, for sure. Oh, too many errands? Oh, well, that's kind of what happened to me. I ended up at the mall getting my new phone plan, and as quickly as the guy was working to get me out of there, there was still too many things. And then, of course, I decided to switch my internet, too. And so, you know, that kind of added to it. But while you're there and no one is standing there waiting on the service person, it's kind of a good time to, you've got their attention, it's a good time to monopolize it and get stuff done. The mall wasn't too bad. We have a main, you know, a main mall here in Guelph. It's not huge, but it's definitely like it's really just one building, but there's a lot of stores in there. And the Virgin kiosk was literally in the middle of the mall. I was thinking it would be like a storefront, you know, along the edge, but no. And I don't know how they work right next to the Colonel's popcorn people and not be over there getting kernels all day long, because, whew, that smelled great. But yes, it was a very busy time. That's garbage. Okay, so now I'm going to add this. So Debbie and Paulette, you may not have heard me say this, but I'm thinking of changing things up come the new year, and instead of this being a mystery card stamping time, it's going to be more of a class. So I'll tell you what I'm using and encourage you to use your stash items. And I don't know, I'll just change it up to different ways. So you'll actually see me stamping. It won't be just looking at my face and listening to me talk and trying to figure out whatever is she doing. So I'm thinking about that as an idea, and I welcome your comments. I have been doing Mystery Card Money for 1.5 years, but feeling like maybe it's time for a change. And Mondays are busy for me. Right after this, I have my bridge club, and those ladies are busy too, so it's kind of hard to change days whenever we have to rebook. So trying to find a nice happy medium. Okay, so there's this card done. Now you'll see it's missing a piece here. That's because when I cut this, or when I glued it, I glued the wrong one down. So I got to get another piece, which I have. And it's going to look beautiful when I'm all done. So I'm showing you the cards as I go. Hard to breathe on it, but it could work. Yes, that can be a little bit difficult too sometimes. It doesn't work well for everybody. And not everybody, when we first started doing that with the stamping that way, not everybody's breath came out well enough to make that technique work. But it's always interesting to show that to people who've never stamped before, and they look at this and they go, wow, look at that technique. That is a really cool idea. All right, my next one, card number 3. I had said at the top that I would mention the measurements each time. So this piece, it's 8.5 by 5.5. I'm going to put this 8.5-inch edge horizontal in my scoring tool, and I'm going to score at, so I'm only scoring on one side, 1 1/4, 2 1/2. So with each card, if you go back, it's the same measurements. 6 and 7 1/4. Okay, this is Petal Pink. And then before I add any paper, I'm doing my scoring, the accordion type fold, because if not, I might catch the edge of my pattern paper, and I don't want that to happen. So there we go. There's our accordion fold, and then it stands up just nicely on the table and fits in an envelope. Fits all the criteria that we need. Okay, so this time I brought out my silver embossing powder. So I am going to use my heat tool. So I keep my embossing powders in these little Rubbermaid tubs from the dollar store. And I have these little spoons. They were in a dollar store package of 8. They were like little sundae paper cups, and then they have these little spoons which fit perfectly in here. So that was a good find. There are some really good finds at Dollarama. And I'm going to use, well, where's the stamps that I wanted to use? Here it is. From Sweet Little Stockings, I'm going to emboss the Christmas greetings words. I think this is the greeting I've used the most in this stamp set, honestly, and it fits just perfectly across. My piece that goes along here has to be 3 1/4 inch wide by 5 1/4 long. Same on the back for the white. fits perfectly. Okay, so the first thing with heat embossing, if you've never done this before, I'm sad that you never have. I will show you how it works. You take your Versamark ink, okay? It's a clear and sticky ink, and you ink up your stamp, okay? And then you place your stamp down on your paper. So it's got sticky, you can't even really see it. And then quite immediately you take your embossing powder and you give a really generous amount on it and then tap it off into your container. And if you flick your paper like this, you'll see that it shows up powdery like that. And now we need to heat emboss it because that is what will set that. It'll go from powdery to almost wet looking. So bear with me. I'm going to turn my heat tool on. This is the newer one from Stampin' Up. Well, newer. It's been around probably for 6 or 8 years. And it's quite a lot better than the original one. Not as loud. When you're heat embossing, you want to heat it up a little bit first, and then when it's up to maximum heat, then you want to be applying it to your powder. And now that's what it looks like. So now it's shiny. It went from dry powder to shiny. Oh, I know, so much better. I know I see people with the coffee filters and they pour it in the bowl from the little jar it comes in, and then that's just too finicky for me. Even with this system, I end up with powder on my table, and I just whisk it off or use the heat tool to blow it away. Because it just, no matter what you do, it's fine powder, right? It's gonna end up everywhere. So this one has some heat embossing, which was the thing that was the wow for me when I first tried stamping. That Christmas when the demonstrator Donna Henley showed me heat embossing with a deer, I was sold. I was like, oh, this is for me. This is amazing stuff. Count me in. Where's the stamp set? Go. I'm going to put my stamp away. Because if you're like me, if you don't put your stamps away and your dies away right away, they find places to be, and then you can't find them for love nor money. So, okay, so I'm going to pay a little better attention when I'm putting my pieces down this time, that I get the right ones in the right place. So these like DSP strips, the big one on the front's 3 1/4 by 5 1/4, and then you need 4 strips of 1 by 5 1/4. And that is how you decorate this beautiful layout from Vicki, who's often on here, and I don't see her today. I hope she watches the replay and knows that I really liked her card. Okay, a little more, because we do a lot of different cards, and sometimes we do a lot of cards rather, and sometimes it's nice to have a different layout, right? Something a little bit different. Just a wee bit different. Doop, doop, doo, doo. There we go. Lots of silver sparkle and beautiful stuff. Now I also have to go, did I say Petal Pink? Blushing Bride. That's not Petal Pink, that's Blushing Bride. I'm using up 2 things. I'm using up that pattern paper, Peaceful Prints. I'm going to double check that. It's in the mini catalog. There were 2 that were started with Peaceful Place paper, and we have this in that catalog, Blushing Bride ribbon. That's a special name. It's a polyester, and it's frayed grosgrain at the edges, which you can kind of see. It's quite nice. I wanted to add the ribbon on here, but with this card layout, I can't find a way to add it without it looking kind of forced. So I think maybe we'll forego that and we will find some nice embellishments to go with. Oh, I only have one of those left. Time to get more of the opal rounds. I have these pastel pearls. The pink's not quite the right pink, but there's a gray in here, which I think would look nice. Oh, I don't know. The pink's not that bad, but I think maybe I'll just go with these gray ones. They're sort of a clear light gray. I'll just put some of these on top of the trees. And a few more down here. Here, there, and everywhere. Is that a thing? Yeah, I think 3 is enough because these are kind of big. These are bigger than our usual pearls. They're called Pastel Pearls. Here's an unopened package so you can see you've got actually 4 colors. There's a pink, Highland Heather, gorgeous grape, and this sort of clear white. It's just a very light gray color. Does it say on the package? It doesn't. That's okay. Oops. Tuck those away. Well, clearly I haven't used these enough. So, tuck those away. All right, so there's this card. I mean, the paper is the star of the show on this. A little bit of embossing, and then the paper already comes embossed, so that adding that greening is just what we need. And then my last one for tonight, I'm going to do some stamping and some small bits of die cutting, not a lot. I'm using the Nature's Harvest stamp set, and well, it's a bundle with the dies. Quite nice. Okay, let's get this here. So we've got our 8.5-inch side across and then 5.5 down. Put the 8.5-inch side horizontal on the trimmer. Score at 1 1/4, 2 1/2. Oh, 2 1/2. Let's do that again. Oh, it fell out of the track. And 6. And 7 1/4. There's our 4 panels. Fold these first ones from the center back. Oh, did I put the white on the back? Oh, I didn't put white on the back of the pink one. It's okay. It's pink. We can write on it. And then fold the other panels. So we have our little accordion fold right here. Kind of fun, eh? Thanks, Brenda. I like it. And I'm going to use the matching paper with this. So this bundle's called, let me get the right name for you here. The paper is called Harvest Meadow. And the bundle is called it's escaping me. What page is that on? I should have this together here. So it's in the July to December mini, and it's all featured. Oop. I love it when my pages stick together. It's like those are the pages I like working with the most. Right? Page 55. So on page 55 is a beautiful spread called Harvest Meadow. It's beautiful. I love fall things though. So some beautiful die cuts. And the die cuts, you can stamp them and then cut them out, or just cut them out, which is a nice touch, I think. Let's get this pattern paper down. So again, it's 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. Same on the back for your greeting piece. You don't have to put one in there. I like it. It finishes off nicely, especially if the card base is dark enough that writing on with a pen won't do, or you won't be able to see it well. And then what side would I like up? Yeah, I'm going to match these. Match these guys up here. More Calypso Coral, which is lovely in the fall as a color, because the sky, you know, is so gray, and we have so many dark regally colors, and then this just adds that pop of color you get in the sky in the fall, which is long past us now, it seems. My photos for my morning walk photos that I'm posting on my personal page. When Riley and I get out for our morning walk, we have been seeing some beautiful skies where it's red, and this morning the tops of the trees look like someone painted them pink. It's lovely. Okay, we need to finish up here, Diane. We do, if we're going to be ready for the next adventure that we have planned tonight. So let's see, we will use succulent. And I'm using some of our cork paper. That's something that I wish would carry over. It is so fun to work with, so I'll have to bring that in a little bit more next time. And I need another color. I need another color that I don't have here, so I'm going to reach over and grab our Calypso Coral and do the smaller leaves in Calypso Coral. Oh, I guess this one is, I thought this one was a stamp as well as a die. No, it's just a die cut. All right, let's pivot. We all know about pivoting. There we go. Grab the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which makes it so easy right sitting here. It's just a mini version of the cut and emboss machine. So cute. And push this guy through. Just trying to line everything up there. There we go. Too many things right here. I'm gonna maybe stand up. Get that through. There's one die cut. Sorry, I'm just not lining that up quite right. There we go. Come on. I think my plates might be a little warped, and when they get warped, they won't fit through quite as well. So let's try and flip them over and see how that helps. Because as you know, as you're using your die cutting machines, your plates will warp with time. There we go. I had them sort of concave fitting in, and that wasn't working so well. There's one. And then this one I stamped, and I'm going to die cut it out. So some of these are just die cuts, and some have stamped images to go with. Line these guys up. Someone had asked me if I'm going to be going to in-person classes soon, and I think with our more recent news this past weekend of where we're at as a country, we may have to hold off on the idea for just a little bit longer. We will do it. It will happen. We're just not quite sure when. So these are going to glue down real quick into place. So like I said, this is some of the cork paper, and I just die cut. Actually, I had it sitting in my stash, so I didn't even have to, from another project. I just left it in the stamp case, so it was ready to use when I was ready for it. And it's just one of these cuts out of the cork paper, which has gorgeous texture. And then another one on the front here that is a die cut without stamping, and then we'll put the stamped version on top. Just layer it up a little bit. One thing, I do like using my liquid adhesive, but sometimes having the adhesive sheets on the back of your paper makes peeling it off a little bit easier and quicker. I don't ever think about that until it's too late and I've already die cut it out. You know. Okay, put this piece on top. This one definitely needs ribbon, and I have lots of this. Diamond weave ribbon. And I'm going to put a nice floppy bow on there. And then I'll show it to you, and that will be a wrap for tonight. Because this one's going to stand up. I'm not even really concerned about putting this guy into an envelope. Should look up to see if there are comments, because I've been looking down here for a little while. Oh, hey Glenda. Welcome. I keep trying to make yours, but when I write 7 o'clock in my calendar, then I realize that no, that's 7 o'clock your time on the West Coast, and it's 10 o'clock my time, which is still somewhat doable, but not last night. I'm thinking of moving mine time-wise to a little bit later and doing more of a class versus a mystery card. Something different. Change it up. Okay. Fighting with my glue dots. Oh, they're so much fun. You know why? Because I didn't do what I tell all my customers. I tell them, take your ribbon and press it onto where the glue dots are. Don't try to pick it up, because invariably what will happen is you'll get all these weird little dots that don't work. Okay, here's the last one. Boom, boom. Very cute. And then I put my greeting on the back. So that was 5. I will post pictures. If you do this one, I would love to see how it turned out for you. And you can post yours here. That would be awesome. It was a long one last night. Oh, I'm sure. All right, ladies. Thank you for bearing with me and watching the video. And you have a lovely evening. I'll be back tomorrow, Technique Tuesday. I've got, I'm looking over there to see, what do I have? Oh, it'll be a surprise. Take care. Bye for now.